Welcome to Bullion Knots. I'm going to show you how to make a traditional bullion knot and some faux bullion knots using petite frosty rays for the faux knot, silk and ivory, and vineyard silk for the faux bullion, and impressions for a real bullion. This is a bullion needle. The eye is a similar width to the end, and you can see the difference between the bullion needle and the tapestry needle. The tapestry needle, the eye is wider than the tip. This is important because when you make a bullion knot, you need to pull the knot off the needle. So for a traditional bullion, you make a large knot at the end of your needle, at the end of your thread. You sink the knot, you come up at A, you go down at B, and that's the length that you want your bullion knot to be. You come back up at A without piercing the thread. And then you wrap your thread around the needle. And this is why having a long bullion needle is useful. And you keep wrapping, and you want the length of the wrapped thread as it's pushed down on the needle to be the same length as the width between A and B. And you want those wraps to be really tight against each other. So you can measure by looking at the length, and then when you find it's long enough, you pull your needle through, hold on to the knot. Oops, I got a little stuck on a thumbtack. And then you go back down at B. You can then shape your knot slightly by pushing it, and you have a beautiful bullion knot. Now, you can also make a bullion knot that is bigger than the space, and this knot you can move, wrap around and make different shapes from. So again, you go down at A, come up at A, go down at B, come up at A again, and wrap. And this time you're going to wrap longer than the distance from A to B. Keep wrapping, and you always wrap in the same direction on your needle. Keep wrapping. And again, this is where the longer bullion needle really comes in handy because you have space to wrap. Hold on to the thread and pull your needle through. And this is why you want the eye of the needle to be a similar width to the point because it's hard to pull through those wrapped pieces. And after you pull tightly, you go back down at B. And you can see this is like a little arch. And you can couch it down. And there you go, you have a little petal. Okay, now this is vineyard silk. I'm going to show a faux bullion. Make a big knot. You come up. You unthread the needle. And the vineyard silk has 3 parts to it. There's quite several threads that have 3 parts, but they're single ply. And the reason this is important is you want to be able to pull one of the parts of it. This is a wrapped thread, so other options are silk and ivory, pearl cotton trebizond. So you pull that one piece out. Actually, you slide the other two pieces along it. You rethread your needle. Make sure you get all three parts of the thread. And if you want it to be like a long caterpillar, you sink it the full length. And you smooth it out with your finger. You can couch this down or not. If you're planning to couch, you can use that single long piece that's left over from where you were pulling. Now this is silk and ivory. Again, it has three parts. Now, in making the faux bullion, the length of your bullion depends upon the length of your thread. So if you want to create interesting shapes or something that's especially long, you have to make sure your thread is really long. It also depends upon how thick you want the wrapped section to be, although it's not really wrapped, it just looks like it's wrapped. So now I'm going to try to make an S shape. Shape it with your fingers. Then you sink the needle. And then you come up and couch it in place with that one single thread that's left. And that will blend right in. Now you can use this type of bullion to do things like flowers, caterpillars, antennas, garlands on a Christmas tree, Santa's beard, mustaches. So now I'm going to show another version, and this is a popcorn stitch. So you use Petite Frosty Rays because it has a crynet core to the flare exterior. You pull out about 1.5 inches of the crynet core, you scoot it all the way down, and you take a stitch. Come up near it. Pull on the crynet core. Scoot the flare part down about 1.5 inches. Then move it all the way down and sink the thread. Now this can make terrific garlands on a Christmas tree. I've used it for the cuff on a Christmas hat. You could use it as fur on Santa's coat. You could use it as wool on a sheep. It wouldn't be woolly, but it would be puffy. Could use it as flowers. All sorts of fun things to do with this stitch. So now you've seen 3 different ways to do bullions, from the traditional bullion to the faux bullion and the popcorn stitch. You can use this for all sorts of fun things: flowers, shapes, peppermint candy, Santa's beard, faux fur, Christmas garlands.